Welcome to Where Arts Meets Medicine, a podcast from Stanford Health Care. Here we explore how creativity supports healing through personal stories, therapeutic practice, and the growing connection between the arts and medicine. This series explores the intersection of creativity and healing through stories from patients, caregivers, artists, facilitators, and clinicians who are part of our Creative and Healing Arts program. At Stanford Health Care, we believe healing goes beyond medicine. The Creative and Healing Arts Department brings ambient music, virtual reality, therapeutic art, sound bath, and other forms of expression into our hospital spaces, supporting emotional well-being, relieving stress, and creating moments of reflection, connection, and joy. In this series, you'll hear personal reflections, creative insights, and the science behind how art can help us heal mind, body, and spirit. Hi, my name is Sophina McDaniel, and I'm the manager of Creative and Healing Arts at Stanford Health Care and the host of Where Arts Meets Medicine.
My name is Kyra Sisip, and I am the creative media facilitator and the co-host of Where Arts Meets Medicine.
Today, Stephen is joining us, one of our music facilitators here at Stanford Health Care. Stephen, thanks for being here. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the work you do?
I'm Stephen Sholem, and I've played piano since I was 4. So it was a very natural thing for me to do, to play piano while I was a patient at Stanford. And that was back in 2010. And so I became a piano playing volunteer while I was a patient. And then after I was a patient and cleared of cancer, and then I became one of the ambient piano player musicians. And now I play 6 hours in the outpatient center and 3 hours in the cancer center every week.
Thank you for sharing that, Stephen. So I was thinking when you were sharing a little bit about your personal journey, can you tell us a little bit more, like what inspired you to provide music as a therapeutic service at Stanford, and tell us a bit more about your personal journey?
When I first got diagnosed with a cancer type that was extremely lethal, and they said that I have somewhere between 8 and 10 months to live, I was very, very, very nervous about doing chemo and about possibly doing radiation and getting surgery. This topic's pretty tough for me sometimes. I'll try to stick with it. And when I walked into the outpatient center and I saw the piano there, I thought, wow, it's a pity there's nobody playing it, because I could absolutely use some live music right now. I would love to hear that piano being played. But I was right on time for my appointment, so I just kind of beeline past it, and I pulled up on the lid to see if it was open, and it was open. And then I thought about what I would play when I came back out while I was getting a CT scan. When I came back out, I went to the front desk and I asked if I could play the piano. And there was a very kind and caring person at the front desk who asked, "Do you play?" And I said, I've played since I was a tiny kid. And she said, "Well, go ahead and give it a try if you like." And I played for 4 hours straight because I was super nervous about the upcoming results. I didn't know what to expect. So that nervousness transpired to me just playing my heart out and trying to deal with my emotions that way. And within about 5 minutes, I had a crowd of maybe 10 to 15 people listening and cheering. And so I felt like a king in that place. It was really, really cool. It was not anything I'd experienced before in a medical setting at all. And then I thought, it's really too bad that in Oregon, where I was living at the time, that they don't have pianos in the hospital. They don't have any music in the hospital. And I remember saying to a lot of people, yeah, I'll definitely be back as soon as I can be, because my appointments will be here. But it was a lot to drive back and forth. And then the coolest thing happened. My wife asked me, "Hey, do you want to move to the Bay Area? I really like it down there, and I have a great uncle there that needs care, and maybe we could move in with him." So we moved here. And as soon as we moved here, like, I scheduled every single appointment I could, every blood draw, even though there was a medical center nearby that I could do. Every single appointment I could, I scheduled here. And so I would go to Stanford. And every time that I walked in and there was a piano, I would play it. Yeah, that's the story of how I started, and why I thought that it was therapeutic is very clear. It was super therapeutic for me to deal with my problems. And at the same time, every single person who walked by said, "Wow, I wish you were here all the time. This helps so much." I want to say about 5 people every hour said, "You made my day," or "You made my week," or holy cow, I forgot I was even in a hospital.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is just really inspiring to hear. And do you think you can elaborate a little bit more on like why playing ambient piano at the Cancer Center is so important? Obviously, we know more about your health journey, but what kind of made you realize like, oh, I really want to do this. I really want to keep doing this.
Yeah, definitely. I studied biology with an emphasis in botany and environmental science for 5 years. And I got a job on the East Coast as a entomologist, as an insect expert. And I taught that for a while, but then after that, I became like a website optimization and image optimization specialist. I really thought it's too bad I studied something that when you actually apply it in the real world, 99% of the time, it's super, super basic and focused and number based and data collection based. And there's nothing very artistic about what I was headed for. And when I sat down at the piano in the Cancer Center, I thought, man, I wish this was a job. And then somebody in the outpatient center walked by and just said, I think that you've become an integral part of our community here, and I'd like to hire you. We'll hire you on regular every single week, twice a week. And the rest is kind of history. It became so incredibly beautiful and addictive in a really nice and organic way that I can't even imagine going back to what I studied. 13 years of playing piano at Stanford. And there are people who walk in and they're like, are you the same guy who was playing here 10 years ago? I'm like, yeah, probably. There are some people who come in who have been patients ongoing for 8 years or so, and they'll walk in and I'll immediately start playing one of their 5 favorite songs they always ask me for. They're like, oh, Steven's here. And they run over.
Thank you, Stephen, for sharing that. I can just visualize. Can you imagine coming in as a patient and hearing your favorite song? The fact that you can remember all this is so amazing. And what a lovely experience for our patients and their families. You were talking about building relationships, and I just started thinking about, you went through some emotional things when you were in the cancer center, and I'm sure that you've had a chance to encounter patients or their families that are maybe processing different emotions themselves. How do you see that your music, your presence in that space has supported patients with maybe some of the things they might be working through or feeling that they're trying to put words to, or maybe that they might even share with you?
I have a whole lot of anecdotal evidence. I'll give some stories. Okay, a guy walks in, and as soon as he walks in, he's wearing a baseball cap for the Giants, and I started playing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and I winked at him, and this is a big tough dude. He started bawling, and he comes running over to me, and he's like, "How did you know to play that?" And I said, the hat tipped me off, And then he said, no, but then you winked at me. And I was like, I did? I don't remember winking. And he said, my dad always played Take Me Out to the Ball Game on the piano, and he would wink at me when he did that. And I was like, that's crazy. I don't know what there is to believe as far as that goes, but I was like, the fact that I winked at a dude who walks in with a hat, it's kind of random. But he sat down and he listened to my music and he sang along to songs for about an hour before his appointment. And he said, this was literally the best hour of music that I've had in my life because it was so personal. I had a kid come in who was about 22, and he had extremely severe pain from his waist on down, and he couldn't really walk. And when he came up, he asked for a song that he thought I wouldn't know, and I knew it right away, and I played it, and he danced. And then he was like, that's the first time I danced in years because I have way too much pain to dance. He said, but I forgot about my pain when you played that song. I'm lucky, super lucky to get to affect people like that. I know that I see people come in at the same exact hour that I come in at, and they walk by and they say, I always schedule my appointments around you and your schedule. And I want to say there's about 30 people who do that regularly. And they literally come to the hospital when they know I'll be there. And when I wasn't there because I'm on vacation for a week, the next week they complain that it felt empty and lifeless. And that for the first time they realized like how white the walls are or how all the noises echo. And they're like, it's just so homey and comfortable when I come in and you're there. And so I think it's definitely therapy. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are affected by being able to relate to the music. It brings back so many emotions for people. It puts them back into a different place in a different time. And I'm really happy when I can provide that.
You can clearly see how it impacts patients in such a positive way. I mean, the fact that they plan their appointments around your schedule is such a huge compliment to you, but
It's
also to
crazy.
your work and your art. So, yeah, thank you for that. What do you personally find most healing about playing the piano? I mean, you've been doing it for so many years now. Do you think you can share a little bit about what it is you love most about it and why?
Piano is my quirk. Music is just a way of expressing. It's pure emotion for me in a lot of ways. I don't know if either one of you downhill ski. I do. There's this freedom, like you're flying down the hill and nothing can stop you. And with piano, at this point, it feels the same way. The chords come out. And so it's this feeling of musical freedom and at the same time of musical exploration. So for me, it's a unique way to explore another world. And every piano has a different sound. And I compare it to candy, like you found a new type of candy in a new country and you try it out and you're like, wow, that's a flavor. You really enjoy it. I want to say every part of the experience for me is really immersive. And when I'm in a song, I forget everything else that there is in the world for some amount of time. It's a form of meditation. That's what somebody told me. I don't know anything about meditation. I've meditated like twice in my life, but I want to say that playing music is extremely meditative for me.
The stories you're telling us really gives us insight about the work and the impact that it's having in ambient music, right? Like you kind of actually started on our last question and talking about self-care is, what is your one piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to use music as self-care?
Music is a distraction. Not all distractions solve problems. But the really cool thing about a musical distraction is it leaves your body with less adrenaline, less blood acidity. You're gonna live a longer, healthier, happier life if you listen to music frequently when you're under stress. Literally, because it increases the alkalinity of your body, which means that your degradation of your heart valves and your arteries is going to slow down. So music is super healthy. And then music is a really great way of connecting. So it's a really good community builder. That's another really crazy great thing about music is it instantly builds community. And that's actually something I absolutely love about music. It busies you. So there's a lot of uses for music. So community building and releasing of emotions, transporting you to another place, making yourself occupied, bringing down your blood acidity and calming you down, reducing stress. And it's fun altogether. I do it because it's also really fun.
Well, I want to thank you, Stephen. This has been fun. I've laughed. I heard
Yeah.
some really amazing stories, and I'm so grateful that you're part of our team and that we get a chance to share your story. Like, I'm really excited about this, and I hope you are too.
Thank
Stephen,
you so much, both of you, for
Thank
taking the
you.
time.
thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us on Where Arts Meets Medicine.
To learn more about creative and healing arts at Stanford Health Care, find our website link in the description. Be well and keep creating.